Where was Owen Hart? Because he wasn't in the arena, except he was. This was a little bit overly complicated and didn't need to be. I'm Johnpierre with a retro review of WWE In Your House 3. WWE Champion Diesel, WWE Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels going after the tag titles held by Yokozuna and Owen Hart in the main event. But however, if Yokozuna or Owen Hart pinned either Shawn or Diesel, they would get, the respective title. So winner takes all match, a concept they've never done before or since, except they've kind of watered it down. So have other wrestling companies, but I digress. This wasn't that bad of an in-your-house pay-per-view. And for those unfamiliar, the in-your-house concept was a shorter card for a cheaper price. They would have some dark matches before and after the pay-per-view went off the air to basically justify the ticket prices they would have the live audience pay. So, Vince, JR, and Lawler on commentary from Saginaw, Michigan. The opening dark match was Fatu versus Triple H. And then after the pay-per-view went off the air, Goldust beat Bob Holly, Ahmed Johnson beat Skip, and Taker beat King Mabel. It's a good thing Mabel would never end up injuring The Undertaker, except he totally fucking would, hence the Phantom of the Opera mask, and Mabel would be out of the company soon after. So, we start off with Savio Vega versus Waylon Mercy, who was Dan Spivey and was so fucking broken down he couldn't do anything. This was his only pay-per-view appearance with the Waylon Mercy gimmick, and yeah, he sucked. He sucked in tag matches, he sucked in singles matches, he just was not fucking good at all. And then we cut to Doc Hendricks saying, Owen Hart isn't there. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, except it's a Canadian, and he's not wearing a red hat. I actually would have liked to have seen him wear a red hat and then, try to, solve crimes and everything. It would have been better than some of the shit they were doing with Owen Hart at this time. And bad brainbuster by Spivey. I mean, what the fuck was that? And a leg lariat from Savio Vega got the victory. Good. Savio Vega should have won, and Waylon Mercy was out the door pretty soon after. Then we cut to Cornette and Monsoon talking. Monsoon's like, well, if Owen isn't here, you need to find Bulldog a tag partner. That's an overarching story throughout the entire night. And then we get Sid versus Henry O. Godwin. Power battle. Ted DiBiase had been targeted by Henry O. Godwin, so he wanted to get revenge. Slobber knocker, that word threw off Vince. It was actually kind of funny. I think it was the first time, or one of the first times, that slobber knocker was said on a WWE broadcast. Some rest holds as you would expect. Sid really looked impressive and could do some good shit. But my God, some of his matches really do not hold up at all. And Henry O. Godwin wasn't bad, he just wasn't great, and the gimmick was shit. Because everybody had to have an occupation. So, DiBiase distracts and interferes, we get a powerbomb for 3, and then they tease throwing the bucket of slop on Henry O. Godwin. Bam Bam attacks. Bam Bam, however, has a match a little bit later, and then Kama helps, and then DiBiase gets slopped because Godwin, by this time, has already, recovered from the powerbomb and slops, DiBiase on his head. And he's all freaking out and everything. I think it was oatmeal and shit. Oatmeal, maybe some kind of weird soup. But I guess it's funny. It wasn't even funny to me as a 14-year-old. As a 14-year-old, it just wasn't funny at all. I don't know. Let me know what you thought of the slop stuff. I didn't think it was very good. The Monsoon, well, hey, Yokozuna's going to have to go alone unless you get that tag partner. British Bulldog takes on Bam Bam Bigelow. Now, Bam Bam was involved in that melee before, and they have him come out and do his entrance again. Why not just leave him out there and avoid the 90 seconds? There's nothing against Bam Bam. Yes, he had the pyro and everything. Maybe they wanted to do that. But I didn't really see the point in him doing his entrance when he was going to have to fucking face the British Bulldog. And it was more power for power. The pace was actually pretty fast. There were a few wrestles, as you would expect. But for the most part, this was a fairly fast-paced match between two power guys. Bulldog kept focusing on the leg. Yes, he would do that against Diesel at the the next In Your House. Oh dear, that match. I'm going to really look forward to reviewing that. It's not a good match at all. Not a good match at all. And Bam Bam missed a moonsault, and then Bulldog would hit a headbutt, but would not get the victory, and then would eventually hit a power slam 1, 2, 3. Then we get an ad for a Mania 11 special. Yeah, of all the Manias that they decided to broadcast, they decided to broadcast that one. Granted, the most recent Mania, but it wasn't very good. We then get Dean Douglas with Bob Backlund versus Razor Ramon. Overarching story here from SummerSlam to now. Dean Douglas had been grading the matches because he was a teacher and he had a chalkboard. And, the nails down the chalkboard. And Razor didn't like how he graded that, and they kind of had a bit of a brawl. And then Dean got 1, 2, 3 Kid and Razor pitted against each other, even though this would start 1, 2, 3 Kid's heel turn anyway. They were obviously going to turn him heel. And because he kept losing, so he was like tired of being in Razor's shadow, so to speak. And Bob Backlund was also there shouting a lot at everybody, which was kind of, the heel Backlund was fucking tremendous. And Razor rushes to the ring. We get, action, being pretty good throughout, nice pace. Dean Douglas says take over, working on the back, right him into the post, doing a whole bunch of shit. We get a ref bump. We get 1, 2, 3 Kid coming in and counting, and Razor thinks he won after hitting the Razor's Edge. And then they have a bit of a shoving battle because, no, you weren't the referee. And then Dean, holding the tights, most devastating maneuver in all of professional wrestling, surprise roll up, 1, 2, 3. And Kid and Razor argue, and this would lead again to 1, 2, 3 Kid turning heel soon after. I think by or right after Survivor Series 95. Then we get an ad for In Your House 4. Yeah, that show. Bret versus Jean-Pierre Lafitte, the future PCO. This is all because the Pirate had stolen Bret Hart's jacket. No, really, that was the reason this feud was happening. That being said, despite that bullshit, this was a pretty damn good match. Really, really good shit. Bret did a dive early, did a suicide dive early and totally missed him because I don't think Pierre was really ready. And the wrestling was really good. The pace was kept up. Yeah, there were a few slow spots, but you had to slow down to pick it back up, and the pacing was really nice. Pierre just did this freaking dive outside, kind of like the PCO dive that he does where he just lands flat on the freaking mats. But then no sells and then gets run to the steps. Some good pacing here, some good near falls, and eventually Bret got the sharpshooter on and got the tap out. Got his jacket back, did not have to jack it off anymore, and got the victory. And then Alundra Blaze, who had just, I believe, recently put over Bertha Faye at SummerSlam, is pimping out merch. Or they're having her pimp out merch, that is. That's pretty much it. That's what they're doing with one of their premier athletes on their roster. And then we get the two dudes with attitudes, Jim Herd taking over WCW, I don't fucking get it. Diesel and Shawn, WWE and IC champion, taking on Yokozuna and the British Bulldog, because Owen Hart, where in the world is Owen Hart? He was not there. British Bulldog, even though he wrestled Bam Bam in a 12-minute match, takes Owen Hart's place. The pace was good. It had a big fight feel. There were some really nice near falls and some good exchanges. Here's the problem. The fucking ending. The fucking ending ruined it for me. Easy for me to say. It really ruined it for me. I did not really care for this. Because, mind you, again, Owen's not there. He's just not there at all. And Bulldog's part of the match, so it's 2-on-2. Yet Owen does a run-in after Yoko got kicked to the outside, and Bulldog's just there. It looks like Diesel's about to, beat Bulldog. Here's Owen Hart. He jumps off perfectly fine, gets gut-shotted, and then gets powerbombed. He gets jackknifed. 1, 2, 3, and Owen gets pinned. So Diesel and Shawn win the tag titles, despite the fact that Owen, who was originally in the match but was not in the match because he wasn't there, he gets pinned. So it's basically a 2-on-3 match with a 2-on-2 match with a run-in. So 2-on-3. And then Owen gets pinned, and that's it. And this somehow held up, and the tag titles stayed on Diesel and Shawn. They never defended them, and then dropped them sometime, I believe, before Survivor Series. That was a good idea. That was not a good idea at all. It ended kind of on a sour note. The crowd loved it, though, because they loved Diesel and Shawn at this time. Mainly Shawn. Diesel kind of had a lukewarm reception for the most part. Though in Michigan, it actually does make sense, because he had a name there. This wasn't a bad pay-per-view, and certainly better than the October one that I'll be reviewing, but look forward to a ton of retro review content, and let me know what you guys thought of the show. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.